Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble casa, my humble home in Livingston, Montana. Okay, the time is 1:54 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and it is June 16th of 2020. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. It just gives me a little reference in time for myself, I guess. Okay, I am going to tell a hunting story, a blood sport story. So if you're not into hunting, if you're not into blood sports or any of that kind of stuff, you can just politely excuse yourself and you won't hurt my feelings at all. Okay? I've gotten so sick and tired of all the political mess that's going on in the United States and all the looting and burning and lawlessness and COVID and coronavirus and all upheaval and crime and that I'm completely beside myself. I want something new. I want to be able to create something new. So this is a hunting story. This happened back in the year of 2007. 2007, I said. The area that I was hunting was about 17 miles straight south of where I live here in Livingston, Montana. I was hunting up in a place called Pine Creek, Montana. Okay, if you know that country like I do, which you don't, there's an area there on the other side of Pine Creek that's actually USFS land. It looks like it's private property, but it's not. I know, I've checked all the maps and regs and everything like that. There's about, I don't know, I want to say 3/4 of a mile, 1 square mile of land that you can hunt up there or something like that. But anyway, I get up there bright and early, 7 o'clock, 7:30. And this was one of those days I could tell it was going to be a nice day. It was fairly warm. It wasn't snowing. The wind wasn't blowing. It was just one of them good days to be out hunting. So I gather up my pack, grab my trusty old 270 Winchester. That's my favorite hunting caliber. And off the trail I went. Actually, it's not a trail. It's a special way that you get into this area. There's a lot of people that don't know how to get into this area just simply because they don't know the way. Well, you got to cross the creek for one thing. You got to wade right across Pine Creek, which can be kind of uncomfortable, especially if you get your feet wet, especially if it's 30 below zero. So anyway, I make my way up into this hunting area. I've been up there many, many times. It wasn't a real long distance, but it was a little bit of a truck going up there. And you go uphill most of the way, and you're kind of going up these rock precipices. They're not cliffs or anything like that, but they're real rocky little hills, and like that until you finally work yourself up to where you're kind of almost on top, but you got a pretty good view of things around, and all that stuff. And it really doesn't take you that long to get into that area. However, if you travel in there real fast and make a lot of noise, you're going to spook your game and you're not going to have any venison for dinner. If you're a noisy hunter, stop being a noisy hunter. Seriously there. But anyway, so I'm making my way up to this vantage point. That's the word I'm looking for. And I travel for a little ways and I'd stop and I'd listen and look. And I'd travel a little ways, stop, listen, look, making very little noise. So I finally get up to the top of this area that I wanted to get up on top of. And I see this lone juniper tree. It was either a juniper tree or a pinyon pine. I think it was a juniper tree. And I thought, boy, that'd be a good place to kind of hide behind, because I wanted to look out this side hill where I'd see a lot of mule deer. And that's where I was hunting, was mule deer, if I haven't said that before. And, I got to know that area real well simply because I hunted it a lot. I knew their feeding habits. I knew the trails up there. I knew all that stuff. Okay, So I crawl on my belly real slow and over to the base of this juniper tree and everything, because I want to, be able to lay there in the prone position and glass out or look out and see what's going on. Sure enough, I seen 4 or 5 does, and they were trotting up the side hill off to my right. They were probably about 200 yards from me or something like that. They were acting real nervous, and I know why. Because I have an idea they smelled me. They probably didn't see me, but they more than likely smelled me because the wind wasn't with me. It was kind of blowing down the mountain, and there you are with all that. So I get over by the bottom of that juniper tree, and I take my pack off real slow. I take my hunting pack off real slow, kind of put it in front of me, because I want to get me a shooting perch. Because I knew doggone well if there was mule deer, milling around on that hillside, there was a buck somewhere. You learn that as a mule deer hunter. Because in my day, I'd taken at least 50 mule deer, and I know 40 of them have been bucks. I haven't really harvested that many does. I've been hard on them bucks, let me tell you. Now, I just knew there was a buck somewhere. It was just up to me to find him. Well, it didn't take me very long to find Mr. Buck. He, about 300 yards out, and I know you're not going to believe that, but I don't give a damn. It was somewhere between 250 and 300 yards out was another lone juniper tree, and bedded down right at the bottom of that juniper tree was a real nice 3-point buck. I said a 3-point buck. Sure, 3 points is not like having a 5-point, but this was a good guy. He had a fairly decent spread. He was I would say a mid-age buck. He was not real young and he was not real old. Just right for putting a fork in. You understand what I mean? Yeah, just right for licking the lips, if you like venison. So anyway, he's laying down. This buck is laying down, okay? And I could just see them racks and everything, but he had his head kind of up, and he wasn't asleep or any of that, because I have actually been in a situation where I've got up on sleeping mule deer before, But anyway, he's just sitting there. Actually, he was staring right at me. I couldn't believe it. And he had a big old cud of grass hanging out his mouth, and he's, doing that number, True story, just is, having his breakfast and all that. And here's them does off to my right, they're nervous, I can tell, but I focused in on this buck because, I wasn't legal to shoot the does for one thing. I had to take that buck. So I started training in on him with my scope and all that. And I had a problem on my hands because he was laying down. The only thing I could see was his partial head, his rack is sticking up like that. But when I looked through my scope, I seen all kinds of weeds and little branches and stuff like that. And that's one thing bad about the 270 Winchester, that's my favorite hunting caliber, is bullets deflect real easy off of small branches and different things like this. In other words, I didn't have exactly a clear shot at him. I mean, there was not a lot of woods. There was no woods between me and him, but there was a layer of grass that I didn't really like. So I told myself, hey, look here, fool, that's me, fool talking to fool. You're going to have to wait him out. You're going to have to wait for him to stand up. So I waited a good 15, 20 minutes or something like that, and these does, they're kind of prancing around, and they're moving, but, they're nervous and everything. And I still know to this day that those does alerted that buck. Eventually, even though he was slow to move and slow to get up. But finally, he got up, straight up, looking straight head on right at me. Could have been more perfect. And there I am thinking to myself, okay, fool, what are you going to do? You going to take a shot at this guy or what? So, because the only shot I had at that particular time was a head shot. He was facing me straight on. So I thought to myself, well, I've made some long shots in my day, and I figured, 300 yards, you just might be able to pull it off. So I put that old 270 across my pack, steadied up just as absolute steady as I could, and wham, let one go. Squeezed one off, and all that stuff. And plumb missed. Plumb missed. And old Mr. Buck there, you got a little, he kind of did one of these things. You have to realize I was quite a ways away from him, and I don't think he knew where I was at. But he might have heard that bullet buzzing by his ear or whatever have you. So he turns sideways to me, and he starts following those does to my right. He starts trotting up that hill. Because, these does, they were a lot more aware of what was going on than Mr. Lazy Buck, And I thought, man, I am not letting this sucker get away from me. I jacked another round in that 270 just as fast as I could and laid it across the pack, and squeezed one off. Now, I don't care whether you believe this or not, but I put one right in the neck. Right in the neck. And down he goes, and it's my buck. And it's all legal and everything like that. Granted, the only thing is that I'm going to not pat myself on the back because it was a relatively long shot. For you younger hunters, I don't suggest that you make 200 or 500 yard shots or any of that, which I have done those things. But anyway, I get this buck down. So I get up on him, I get all my gear together, get my pack on, and I go field dress him and all that stuff. And now comes the chore of me pulling the deer out of that area and back to my pickup, which my pickup was approximately a mile away. This just ain't no kidding either, And matter of fact, I looked at my watch. When I dumped that bucket, it was around 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd been out for an hour and a half or whatever, a couple hours or whatever have you. So anyway, I take and strip off a few clothes and leave my hunting vest on and whatnot have you. And I take and hang my rifle around my neck. It's hard for me to describe, but I put the sling around here like this and had the rifle like this. And I had a big drag rope that went around my waist, and I had it tied onto the buck. And that's what I was going to do, was drag him back to the pickup, because there was no other way. I didn't have horses, mules, nobody to help me, no friends, no hunter, no hunting buddies or any of this other stuff. So I had to start up this trail, this game trail that went up this hill, and that hill was like, oh man, I want to say like 100 yards, 150 yards long. And if you people don't think that this is hard work, well, then you haven't been hunting and you haven't done some of the, I'm not bragging, but you haven't done what I've done. So this was so tough that I had to pace myself. I'd go 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, 5. I was counting. I either counted off 10 steps or 20 steps. I'm pretty sure it was 20 steps. It might even have been 25, the more I think about it. And then I would have to stop and, and deep breathe like that. And then I'd start in again and count off 20 or 25 steps, and then stop and deep breathe. Deep breathe. And finally, I got up to the top of the little hill, the highest point that I had to go to before I could start going down towards Pine Creek and towards my pickup, okay? I hope you're with me. I had to go uphill first, and then I had to go downhill, okay? And I don't know if I said this or not, but I dumped that. I think I said this a few minutes ago. You have to forgive me. I dumped that buck at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I got home at 9 that night. That was a 12-hour endeavor. That was a 12-hour hunt. But anyway, I get up on top, rest a bit and everything, and I start angling down, and it was a real pain in the rear end because it was kind of the hills were kind of pretty steep and kind of rocky, and that buck kept wanting to roll down the hill, and they always do when you got weight like that, especially when you're going downhill. It's always kind of nice because they always want to roll, and gravity wants to help you, but they don't always go where you want them to go. Well, anyway, I finally get down to the bottom, and I'm in this little glen, and all I have to do is go along a trail, go through a little patch of woods, and go across Pine Creek, and go over to my pickup, load that buck, and get gone. That was what I had left to do, which is still quite a bit of work. So I start down, with this buck rolling and carrying on a bunch of stuff and giving me all kinds of trouble. And anyway, I get down, and I'm probably only about, 75, 80 yards away from Pine Creek, and maybe 20 or 30 yards away from some woods I had to go through. And I was on this trail pulling this buck along. Sweat was just rolling. You got that? I mean, the sweat was just rolling, covering my back and everything. And all I could think about was getting back in the pickup with my piece of meat. You'll never guess what happened next. This is the crux of the whole story, so pay attention. I'm looking down the trail, I got my drip, the drag rope around my middle and everything. I'm pulling this buck down. It was kind of downhill, not real steep, but it was at least the trail was starting to get a lot more friendlier. And lo and behold, here comes a skunk. A skunk. Actually, to tell you the truth of the matter, there was a family of skunks coming right up the trail that my buck laid on. My precious 3-point buck. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell more could happen to me, than this crap, I mean, I wasn't digging this scene at all because I'm knowing doggone well if them skunks get anywhere near my buck is ruined. The meat's ruined. You know what I mean. You're gonna get that skunk scent all over the place, and it would ruin the whole doggone deer, the whole doggone buck. So man, I start jumping up and down and hollering and hooting and throwing rocks. I actually picked up a bunch of rocks and started throwing them and everything. Those doggone skunks didn't even act like I was there. They just had their nose right on that trail, and they were just weaseling their way right up towards my buck. They would have climbed all over that. And man, I got pissed off. You know what I mean? I got real pissed off. I hadn't shouldered that 270 of mine, and I put that scope right on that all them black and white creatures and just started pulling trigger. You understand what I'm talking about? There was a whole family of them. There was either 4 or 5. I can't remember which. And I done eliminated every one of them, man. I didn't stop until there wasn't one piece of black and white hair moving anywhere. Skunks, mind you, trying to take over my mule deer. This wasn't going to work. This wasn't going to happen. But what happens is I make such a mess in the middle of the trail that I had to take, as tired as I was, I had to take and go way around, in other words, uphill again, way around that contaminated area until, until I hooked back with the trail again. And then from there, I only had about 50 yards to go or so. And then I had to cross Pine Creek, literally cross Pine Creek, So I get down there and I let the old buck, I let it cool off in the water there for a while. And then after that, I finished, I finished dragging that buck over. Ooh, sorry about that. My screensaver kicked on here. I hope this file's still good, man. I don't want to tell the story again. Anyway, I drug the buck over to where my pickup was, and I used the picnic table to help me load it up on my pickup, and finally, I put all my stuff away and went home. But it was 9 o'clock when I went home, and so I was into that hunt for 12 hours. And I'm into this story for 20 minutes, 21 minutes, and nobody'll watch this. They never do. So anyway, I just thought I'd tell you, just share a hunting story with you. And no skunk scent got on my buck. But I can guarantee you I cleared some skunks out of my way. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the story. That's about all I got for today, and I hope you're doing well. And thank you very much for visiting me in my home here in Livingston, Montana. We shall see you down the trail, and adios, my friends. And where's the button to get gone?